why are Americans always handed a binary choice every election cycle? I'll show you. It's because once upon a time, we agreed that we were a constitutional republic with democratic processes. That's what America is. And so then it became the American voter's duty and job to resist or consent to taking Democratic, Republican, or independent vehicles towards the conservation of the constitutional republic. You take a vehicle towards this end, always. Your job is to take one of these vehicles, let them duke it out until two stand. Why should two stand? Because you're going to resist or consent to how you're going to arrive to this constitutional republic all the time. And so just remember, Democrat, Republican, and Independent are vehicles. So if you think that you can invent new vehicles and that's going to shake up the game, maybe, but not in the way you expect. So I've already taken the liberty to create and invent new political vehicles here. The Chronicle of Narnia Party, the Jurassic Park Party, the Taco Bell Party, the Convention of States Purple People Eating Party. It doesn't matter. I've created a trillion new political vehicles, and guess what they're going to do? They're all going to compete until two stand. When two stand, the American voter will still have to resist or consent to how they get toward the constitutional republic's conservation. So why do we beat up on the process? It's because we're not paying attention to the hybrid giraffe and spotted pink elephant in the room, and that is the Democratic Republic on the horizon. You see, you have a problem, America. You're assuming that everyone's trying to aspire to this republic. That's the assumption. But there's this republic on the horizon now. And so everyone over here who's trying to get there is resisting or consenting. They're taking Democratic, Republican, Independent, or whatever political party they invent towards this future. And so what you have here is a revelation where Americans are no longer fighting or disagreeing over how they can get to the constitutional republic. They're fighting over what republic they should live in. The problem is you have two republics at all. America, you have no more national unity project. You have no national unity project because you're fighting for two different republics which are so incompatible. And just a side note right here, I can prove they're incompatible because a constitutional republic has a constitution that restrains government, big G. Democratic Republic has a constitution that seeks to restrain the citizen. The citizen is already educated, subverted, indoctrinated into becoming hostile to their own First and Second Amendment rights, correct? You see that today, objectively speaking. Come out of your red versus blue binary because it doesn't even exist. It doesn't really matter if you're red or blue. You're not in the correct union for the century because two republics exist. Americans are voting every which way, thinking they're voting one way, and they're not. Red versus blue has no chance at working until everyone over here is aligned into the correct republic. Everyone over here is aligned into their republic. Red versus blue can work over here. It can work over here. It cannot work when you're competing for two different republics. So let that expose that red versus blue is a false binary until you're in the correct union for the century. I think I just diagnosed your issue. Because you have two republics on the horizon, they are competing until one has a death, which is why you know they're incompatible. Why are they incompatible? Over here, you have restraints on government, big G. Over here, you have restraints on the citizen, big C. These are incompatible. And so I do believe that we're beating the wrong piñata when we suggest that we've got to create more vehicles and get more representation in there. Be that as it may, I think that if you tore the systems down and recreated it, you'd still have a binary choice of resisting and consenting to getting to a desired republic. But we're not going to ignore the fact that two republics exist. Not only does it mean that you have no national unity project, it means your 50-state union has expired. States like California have no business in a union with states like Texas. Here's what I'll submit to you just right now. And you can fight me if you want. I don't care. I can fight. I'm scrappy. I think that if you want your systems and processes to work for you, America, you have to realign into the correct unions for the century, because as you exist today, you're not in the correct union. There are two republics on the horizon, and you're competing to live apart. You're competing for two different constitutions, and the vehicles you're taking, they're going all over the place. America, I've just diagnosed what's going on with this entire thing. You need to get your national unity projects back. And so that begins with addressing who wants to live in this republic. You have to take all the diversity of those groups and put them in their own union. You have to take all the diversity of these groups and put them in their own union. And that does reinvigorate these conversations about a national divorce. Perhaps a national divorce, and I always say this, it needs to be rebranded as a national realignment of states. Your objective needs to become recapturing your national unity projects. That's going to reinvigorate everything for the most part. You need to get back to a place where you disagree on life, liberty, and happiness and how to get towards your desired republics. But as you exist right now, you're not competing for the same future. Nope. You restrain government here. You do not restrain government here. That's why you see citizens in the democratic space who are more hostile towards their First and Second Amendment rights. They can argue that they've outgrown them. And so if they can make that argument, they've also outgrown the union with the rest of us. So until the true state of your union is addressed, you're going to expect problems. You should expect problems. So realign into the correct unions for the century. That means calling upon your brightest constitutionalists and secessionists and making the case to revisit national divorce, secession. I'm sorry, America, but you're not your ancestors. You have to make the case today that these republics are incompatible. You need to start conceding to irreconcilable differences. Because you are fighting for two different republics, you can't even have a president descend upon you as a unifying agent. There can never be a unifying agent so long as you are competing for different republics. Why? You don't have a national unity project. You don't. You don't have a national unity project until you can at least agree that you're trying to get to the same republic and that you'd like to see it conserved. I don't know how else to end the video.